seeing as Red Ranger actor Dacre Montgomery and the rest of the film's main cast are pushing for a female Green Ranger to join them in all, or rather, any sequels in the future. We could be just a few steps into our journey of a fully revamped Rangers team, in other words. So, thoughts on that are basically this, that I am not against the idea of having a female assume that role as the Green Ranger. I think it'd be very interesting to see how that would work. If you want to stick to how the original Rangers were, you would definitely still keep it as a male role. But I think that there were so many small changes that were made, like, they had actually Billy was an African American. Zach was of Asian descent. There was a lot of different kind of deals there where it's just like, that's not like how the original goes. But it's just one of those things where it's like, it's not really that big of a deal to me. I didn't see any problem with that at all. So, all honesty, I look at this and I think, would I be against the idea of a female playing the Green Ranger? Not really. It just depends on how well they present the role there. I think they've already kind of assumed that, the role of Tommy Oliver is going to be played by a male, and that he'll probably be the Green Ranger. I could see them also going in a different direction, maybe having Tommy be the White Ranger, and then maybe have a female role as the Green Ranger. That's a possibility. It's just going to be very interesting to see how well they do. But so far, they still have to figure out how to get all that money still to match their, box office, their budget, I should say. So hopefully they do well. All in all, final scoring as far as how this movie goes, definitely giving it 4 out of 5 stars. It was very well done. Like I said, characters were great. Elizabeth Banks surprised the hell out of me as Rita Repulsa. She just flat out made me a huge believer. And honestly, with the way her costume looked, I look at that and I think to myself, DC Comics, would you mind giving her a call? Because I would like to see Elizabeth Banks play the role of Poison Ivy. I think that would be very awesome, and I think she could do a very good role at that, especially after seeing how she did as Rita as her villain role. Let's make this happen, DC. I say Elizabeth Banks for DC, please, by all means. All right, so smooth transition, you guys, into an edition of Change the F Up, the original way of Change the F Up, where I take something that has the potential of being amazing, but unfortunately could fall flat on its back, and tell you how I would book it because I'm an effing genius. No ding required. So, talking about post-WrestleMania plans. Of course, talking about Monday Night Raw as well as Tuesday Night SmackDown Live. How are you going to capitalize on that? And I like to actually say, for you guys, this is actually going to be very interesting because these are going to actually have some deals of which I think they're going to kind of transition into my predictions that are going to be going on later on this week. Wednesday with SoCal Val and Friday with Spencer. So if you're looking to see some early predictions on who I think is going to win, now is the time to look at that. So let's start off with Monday Night Raw. So obviously 3-hour show, that's always going to be tough to do. But I think with the right kind of action, you definitely can create something great. So kicking off Monday Night Raw with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, having them come out and basically saying, hey, we're the conquerors. Goldberg has been slain and blah, blah, blah. There's nobody that we have not yet beaten, and there is nobody who can stop Brock Lesnar. Out comes Roman Reigns, hot off the heels of beating The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Roman Reigns says, hey, you're right. You did beat Goldberg. And you were, for the longest time, the one person that said that you were the one in 23-1, but now it's 23-2. So I have also beaten The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And the thing is, you've never beaten me. So why don't you step up and face me right here tonight? They make the matchup. It's Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the Universal title in the main event, which I will get into a little bit later on. So kind of just doing like a little bit of nitpicking as to what they need to do for the Monday Night Raw brands. So starting off like with the tag team division. So obviously there's going to come a point where Enzo and Cass, they come out, they're celebrating because I believe they are going to be walking away as the tag team champions. But they beat Sheamus and Cesaro to win them because it is a triple threat match. They have to, it's, going to be one of those deals where they come out, they're saying, the champs are in the house and blah, blah, blah. The club comes out and they says, yeah, congrats on being the champs, but you've never actually beaten the champs. So we get a tag team title matchup between Enzo and Cass and the club, in which the club regains the tag team titles via shenanigans, if need be. And I think that's the way to do it, because that is actually how the club was built by, was winning by, these little shenanigans, by being a bit heelish, and it works. It makes sense. And it also will give Enzo and Cass that, push to really say, hey, we've got a small taste of gold, but we want it again. We want to be the tag team champions again. You have that hunger. They're going to try their best to regain the tag team titles. By all means, let this be a feud that goes on through the summer. I think that it would be awesome. So as far as like tag team divisions go, definitely start getting more tag teams involved, so that way the club actually has more people to face off against. One of the things that Simon Miller from WaltCulture.com said was that Raw and SmackDown, they have the star power, but the problem is that with this whole brand split thing, it just was very hard for them to really, make this really work. And the worst thing that they could have done was chop this whole thing in half. Was to have, half the women's roster go to this side and half the women's roster go to that side. Have the tag teams go to that side. Half the tag teams go to this side. It just didn't make sense. So this would be the time for them to realize that, hey, we need to start moving some of these exclusive deals over to one roster. So maybe have the women's division come over to Raw, and then have this tag team division go over to SmackDown. Start doing something like that, and then shuffle up everything. Make it so that, maybe you don't even need a draft. You just start, shuffling up things. Hey, we made some deals here. We got some trades. We got some new stars. We picked up some prospects from NXT. Stuff like that, where you just start doing that. And that's kind of what they need to really do right now. So that is really what I think about the tag team division for that would be. So let's talk about the Raw's women's division. Obviously, I think that they're going to have Bayley go over at WrestleMania. It's kind of academic at this point. I mean, Nia Jax, she's not quite ready for it. Charlotte, they could have saved this WrestleMania moment for you. They could have, had her regain the title at Fastlane and then lose at WrestleMania. They could have done that, but that's not going to happen now. Sasha Banks, Vince is not really high on her right now, so it's just academic that Sasha Banks picks up the victory. So here's what I'm suggesting for the night after Raw. Definitely start rebuilding the women's division. How would you do that? Have a women's championship match between Bayley and Nia Jax, where Sasha Banks costs Bayley the women's championship. In one hand, you can have Nia Jax come out and she starts having like this women's championship open where she takes on all competitors, whether it be hometown people, whether it be people from the roster, it could even be from Raw or from SmackDown. She's putting the women's title on the line, giving that women's championship prestige. And if you kind of make her moveset a little more variety-filled, I think more people are going to start getting behind Nia Jax as the champion. So you definitely, and you have that going on. You have Bayley and Sasha Banks in a feud going into the, Extreme Rules, whatever pay-per-view they have after WrestleMania. Still think that they need to not do 2 events a month. I think that's just a massive overload. That's just my opinion. Another thing that they would do is have Charlotte basically building herself up again. Maybe start getting her back to being a babyface. But also, during this time, the night after WrestleMania, have the return of Paige. I know this is very, very unlikely. And I know that when I talked it over to my co-host Max, he's like, it's probably not going to happen. I understand wanting it, but it's not going to happen, man. And the thing is that I know that's more than likely not going to happen. But you have to understand it like this. If you treat Paige well, then they're going, and then, she's going to want to stick around a little bit longer. If you treat her like the way you have been for the last year, then course she's not going to want to stick around. She's probably not even going to want to be with the company. You show resentment to her, she's going to, start backing away. It's just kind of how it is. Like, I've seen a lot of situations where mother-daughter combos, they've had this whole deal in which where the mother's saying, you can't do this, you can't go out with this guy, you can't do drugs and blah, blah, blah. And the girls, they start doing it anyway. And it's always a tough thing to do, but, you start embracing that fact, and then finally there will come a point where they just be like, this is not the person I want to be. So if you start, just treating Paige nicely, which I know is going to be a very large bill for WWE to do, she'll want to stick around a bit farther. But here's the idea that I have for Paige. Have her come back and basically be the prize fighter of the women's division. She goes out and she takes on every single person on the women's roster on pay-per-view, which I know seems very far-fetched, but at the same time, you have to also remember is that she's one of the hardest-working women's wrestlers in WWE. She definitely deserves a lot more props and credits than what she has. The thing is that you build it up kind of like they did with the Tommy Dreamer storyline in ECW, where she's just trying to rebuild herself, create something new, and she's trying to, show that she is indeed one of the best women's wrestlers in the matchup. And you have her face people like Charlotte, you have her face Sasha Banks, you have her face Bayley, you have her face, Alicia Fox, Summer Rae. You have the women on the roster. Show that you can make them all stars. Do it. You can do it. And then when you roll around, say, SummerSlam time, Paige should be so far over as a babyface and as a wrestler that she should be in that prime spot to challenge Nia Jax. And here's the thing about it, is that this will be the point where Paige says, if I can't be the women's champion, then I don't deserve to be in the WWE anymore. So you have that matchup. You have Paige versus Nia Jax at SummerSlam. And some people might say you might give Paige the win. I probably would not, because I think right now, I think the thing about it is that you definitely have Paige recreate and reestablish the women's division. You have her have some of the best matches of her career. And to really end it off, you say, you know what, you've been doing a great job, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you a big, hefty bonus for everything that you've done. You're not going to be able to walk out with the Women's Championship, but we want to show you how much we appreciate you. You do that, Paige is going to be more than grateful, and she is going to go out and have some of the best damn matches that you can imagine on the card. It's simple. As simple as that. How is it that somebody put it? It's stupid simple because it's simple stupid. Come on, WWE. You know it's simple. So don't be stupid. So now we go on to the United States Championship match. I mean, the writing's on the wall right now. Jericho's going to be taking time off. He's not going to be sticking around that much longer. So he's probably going to be dropping the title to Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. So the U.S. title is in a little bit of a weird spot where it's like, who challenges Kevin Owens after WrestleMania? Here's how I would have it. You would definitely want to have some of the singles competitors come out. And I think two of the people that I would really have challenge Kevin Owens would be Sami Zayn and Braun Strowman. Even if you have Braun Strowman just kind of be out there for like a small, brief, babyface turn, it would still work. It'd be still something different. So build up to that, and that's how you would basically go out the United States Championship matchup. Now we go on to the main event of Monday Night Raw. And for those of you that are saying, well, how come there are not that many returns or stuff like that? It's one of those things where you need to make WrestleMania great. The post-WrestleMania show's great, but you don't always need to bring in, appearances. They create great moments. They really do. But I think they also take away from the stars that are still there. They're saying that, why am I not getting my shot? Why am I not getting my shot? You give them more of their shot on the post-Raw, and people are going to be like, oh, wow, this person's here, this person's here. Oh, man, Emma's back. Oh, man, we're going to see a championship match. We're going to see this and blah, blah, blah. So really focus on the people that you have there now and show them that that they care and that you want them to succeed. So, like I said, I'm getting a little off track, but main event being Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, Universal Championship on the line. They do the introductions and blah, 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 whatever. And how I would have it is I would have Roman Reigns right off the bat. The bell rings, boom, low blow to Brock Lesnar, and the referee calls for the bell right away. Now, this is something that's happened in the past a lot, but this is